Hello, friends. Welcome to New Gameplay Today. I am your host today, Alex Stadnik. Join with me, two of my favorite pals in the office. Don't tell anyone else I said that. Marcus Stewart.
Hey, this is pal number one.
Pal number two, the legendary Jay Guisao.
Hey, happy to be here.
What are we playing today, Marcus? What are we looking at?
Well, you see this pretty little game here. It's called Cris Tales, and it's an upcoming RPG developed by a small team in, I believe, Colombia. Actually, it's two teams, even though they're owned by the same person, which is interesting. But it's Dreams Uncorporated and Sick, spelled S-Y-C-K. They are from, oh god, and I'm going to apologize in advance for butchering the name of this city, but I believe it's Bucaramanga?
Better than I could have done.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, and published by Modus. And this game has been floating around for a couple of years now, and it's almost here. It launches July 20th. And right now we are watching sort of a little bit of a montage of it in action. But as you can see, they kind of build it as a return to classic JRPGs. Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI are probably the two that they've cited the most as inspirations.
Elite company.
Exactly.
Tell me about it.
And Chrono Trigger in particular, because this game is all about time travel and manipulating time to your advantage. So as we can see here, they're kind of talking. Chris Bell is the protagonist, who is that young lady there to the left. And she has the power to peer into the future as well as the past at the same time, which is represented on the screen here. We'll see as he's talking to Apothecary June. The screen's kind of divided into kind of like triangles. So you see the middle triangle and you see its slider there. So right now we're looking at the future.
Yep.
And then as it slides back over, on the left side is the past, and in the middle is the present. And that's pretty much always there. And so you can see different realities at any time. And the kind of puzzle solving and progression plays into that, where sometimes you need to interact with different time periods to solve puzzles, and generally you use your little frog there, Matthias, to do that, where he can jump into the future and past and interact with things. So like one puzzle, so there's a demo on Steam that's been around for, I want to say, almost a year now, and you can still play it. But there's like one puzzle where you need to go into the past to look up like a label for a bottle because it wasn't there in the present anymore. So you send him there, he kind of confirms like, yeah, this used to be this. And then you go look for that label in the present and bring it to the apothecary.
For sure.
But you can use the puzzles to kind of prevent things that could happen in the future. So the thing with the future is that it's a potential future. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. So we're seeing here, as you're talking to Christopher, who's one of your party members, you can plant this fruit. I forget the name of the fruit, but it's this golden apple. They're about to do it here. And just, you can see in the future that it could grow into a tree, but it only do that if you actually take care of it. So it kind of gives you a heads up of like, hey, this could happen, you know, as long as you do the right thing. As we see Matthias there jumping into the past. And as you see, he takes the form of a baby frog.
He's so cute. Look at him. Oh, he's adorable.
Big old eyes.
Yeah.
And if you go into the future with him, he becomes like a fat kind of old frog that's also cute.
As we all do, you know, it happens.
So as you see, since he planted that seed in the past, and the president grew into a vine that they can now climb.
Cool.
To get into this building.
So does this have any, the time hopping, does that have implications for the ending too? Are there going to be multiple endings for this that we know of?
Yes. So the way the game is divided is that you're traveling to all these different kingdoms, and there's like storylines in each kingdom that can be resolved in different ways. So there's multiple endings for each kingdom, and then that feeds into like the overall ending of the game, which can go several different ways.
Okay.
So endings galore, basically.
Ooh,
Exhibit said,
nice.
hey, do you like multiple endings? Well, what if every ending had an ending?
That's the back of the box quote right there. I love it. I also wish all the characters were named Chris, because we have Chris Bell.
I was gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
I was literally gonna say the same thing.
Like a Catherine situation.
Yeah.
Well, we got Mary Enzo here. Look at this guy.
I would not mess with this man. Yeah, I definitely. This was a game where I believe it was used to be butted up against Cyberpunk last year for a release date, and I was like, oh, this is not good. Like, you know, just being an indie game, right, going against some of the biggest games of the season never does well for indie titles. So I'm glad this is finally getting its own spot, because I love the Disney aesthetic to this, right? It's you know, it's a very, I feel like it's a Western style meets with like those classic JRPG trappings, and it kind of reminds me of like Child of Light a little bit too, just like in that storybook sense, right? And I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marcus.
No, just real quick, when you were mentioning the Western influences, what's also cool about this game is that because of where the studio comes from, a lot of the architecture and the design is rooted in Colombian influences.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and you kind of see that in the color palette a little bit too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And I was just gonna quickly say, like, I've never really seen, well, back when the triangles were on the screen, I've never really seen like UI like that. And you know, I didn't really get a chance to hop into the demo, and I believe you two did. I mean, did the UI did it feel like good? Like, I mean, was there like a lot of screen clutter with it, like the past? Yeah, like the past, present, future, like kind of mechanics that, like, I don't know, was that hard to sort of get into, or was it approachable in any way?
No, it didn't bother me. I was worried about that too, of like, do I want the screen divided that way at all times? But I think the overlay is like, it's like not a hard split. It's almost like if you turn the opacity halfway,
I see.
like you still see the general environment. It's just that one half has like a different shader almost, you know? So it's like everything still feels unified, but it also makes it fun to explore, because you'll pass by people and you'll see them age as, you know, you'll walk by and you'll be like, oh, there's the old version of them, there's the current version, and there's the kid version. Or maybe they don't exist because they're young in the present, or so they're just not there anymore.
Or they're dead in the future.
Yeah, even that. It could be too. It's like a sad thing. It's funny because you'll go by vendors and they'll still be there no matter what. So it's like, oh, okay, you see them young standing there, and then you go in the future and they're old, and it's like, oh, I guess this is just your fate. I guess you're okay with this. Maybe I guess this means business is booming.
Yeah, right. They're lifers, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, committed.
Yeah.
So when you hear them talking about, like, you know, I'd like to get out of this and maybe, you know, start a farm somewhere, it's like, ooh.
Oh, it's kind of sad, actually.
Let me tell you something. But yeah, I didn't mind the UI, and as we're seeing now, the combat, I like the way the attack commands are designed. It almost like, even though I haven't really played much of it, it gave me a little bit of Persona 5 vibes. A little bit.
Yeah.
How stylish the text is laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And so the time travel stuff plays a big role in combat. So Cris Tales, as you can see, the screen is divided here. And using time to your advantage is important, because you can send enemies into the future or into the past, and it changes them, and it depends on the enemy. So like, say for example, you knock an enemy. So this guy's in the future right now. If he was maybe like younger in the present, if you send him into the future, he'll grow older and he might move slower. But at the same time, it could make him stronger because he's more experienced. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, if you send something into the past, maybe they're younger and they might be faster, but they'll be weaker because they haven't acquired
but
strength
they're also
yet.
babies, so
Yeah.
you could be killing children in this.
Yeah.
Or maybe relative babies. If they're already old in the present, maybe they'll just be young adults. It depends, but kind of experimenting with how time affects each enemy is a big part of the game, and using it strategically, and kind of that risk reward of like, okay, this guy hits really hard. I'd rather get him on the past side, because I'd rather deal with him being faster, but like being a lightweight in terms of his punches, you know?
For sure. Do you feel like that amount of depth is going to be enough to carry something like that? Because I know for me, sometimes the struggle with JRPGs is feeling like I'm doing a lot of the same stuff over and over again, which is the similar style to this, right?
Yeah. And I think so, because like the other party members have their own specific abilities too. So we see here, we got Christopher, who is like a rejected Digimon protagonist.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's incredible, bro. Oh my gosh.
So like he has like an ability where he can he has a big shield that's like his main weapon that he can defend with, but it also splits into like these kind of glaive arm blades that he wears, and he can shoot spells like water. So like everyone has their own like specific abilities too that you can use in tandem along with Chris's time thing or her time ability. So it feels like just watching it, like there's definitely, it's hard to tell until you actually get into it and put like 10, 15 hours. Like this isn't a giant game from what I understand. I think you can finish it in about 20 or 30 hours.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. And that's not a comment on the game and its content, right? That's just like what I look for in my games these days is like, give me something a little bit more concise, but meaningful.
Exactly. So like, you see how we passed those people there? You see how they right now in the present are kind of looking like that. But when she came earlier, you saw the younger versions of them, which is cool because you'll see like parents and their children, and then you'll see their child as an adult, and then the parent as a, an old person.
An old man.
Oldman. Yes. The Watchmen sequel in the future. This person is a Sailor Moon protagonist, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would have hit harder for me if I watched Sailor Moon. I apologize that I don't.
You're missing out.
I know. Yeah.
So we see here, we got a classic JRPG style overworld. And you can travel, you can get different vehicles as you go through the game. So Cris built has this boat here that you can use to travel around. And of course, it wouldn't be a JRPG if you couldn't fly around at some point. And you do get an airship-like vehicle.
Very cool.
Eventually, where you can just zip around faster.
We'd love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like pretty impressed by like the level of depth. Like I know before you were saying like, inspired by JRPGs, but I wasn't expecting like the whole 9 yards, So that's interesting.
Yeah, like look at the art direction is really like when you look at this game for the first time, like it draws you in because it's just so beautiful. Like look at this shot.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Here. Oh yeah, 100%. Well, gents, I think that's a pretty darn good look at Cris Tales, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, this comes out July 20th on everything. So PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X/S, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, and PC.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to make this video with me. If you enjoyed this look, be sure to head over to GameInformer.com. We have more coverage on this game. We're in pre-3, baby. A lot of E3 stuff going down. So be sure to keep it on the YouTube page at youtube.com/GameInformer. Like, share, and subscribe. You know the drill. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.